Good afternoon. My name is Allison McKenzie, and I am the Chair of the Historic Conservation Board. I would like to take a minute to remind everyone about the rules of this proceeding. This proceeding is at all times governed by the rules of procedure adopted by the board on September 26, 2011, last amended on March 9th, 2020. A copy of the rules of procedure is available for review in the back of the room and online. All those planning to testify today, which does not include those solely making arguments such as attorneys, should please stand now and take an oath administered by the board's attorney.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. Yes.
This is a quasi judicial hearing. As such, the board reserves the right to deliberate in private. The Ohio rules of evidence do not apply to this hearing. However, professional rules of conduct do apply, and candor to the tribunal is required. The board members are citizen volunteers and are not paid for their service. They are treated as public officials under Ohio law. Any attempt to influence them, including but not limited to bribery, intimidation, retaliation, which may include contacting their employer in an attempt to exert influence, is punishable as a crime. All should be aware that this meeting is being recorded. Therefore, before you begin your comments, please state your name and address for the record. With that said, let's proceed with the first item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 1 is an application for a certificate of appropriateness at 1326 Broadway in the Over the Rhine Historic District. This is an application for COA only. There's no zoning relief needed. The project includes creating a new 2-level roof deck to the rear of the main building, as well as new 2nd and 3rd floor decks on the north side of the building. You can see in the elevation drawing, this is the north elevation, the side elevation. See the location of the proposed work with the 2 decks coming off of the units within the building on the 2nd and the 3rd floor, and then the roof deck on the upper levels. So as I mentioned, there's no zoning relief required for this project. It is a multifamily building. Whether or not it would become short-term rentals is not relevant from a zoning standpoint. It is still treated as a residential building. So the proposed decks do not impact the existing multifamily use. And in the zoning code, within a historic district, the setbacks of the base zoning do not apply. It only requires that the siting of the new work in the building comply with the conservation guidelines. Would also just mention at the outset here, any concerns regarding fire separation or occupancy loads, other things related to building code requirements are not reviewed at this stage in the process. That is a building code issue, so those aspects will be reviewed on the building permit plans when they're submitted by building plan examination. So as far as the board's role in this process, we are looking here at the addition of the roof deck as well as the 2 side decks. So this was scheduled previously for Historic Conservation Board review at the prior meeting. The applicant did request to postpone it to make revisions to the plan based on the opposition that they had received from some neighboring property owners. So they did postpone this application and have reworked the plan. Our plan had decks coming off the rear of the building. Those have been shifted to the north side, and the upper level roof decks have been reduced in size as well. So for the roof decks, you can see the existing building, the rear wing of the building does not line up as far as the floor levels go with the front portion of the building. So the roof deck is a bit of a different configuration than we typically see with the upper roof line of the rear wing not lining up with the 4th floor. The applicant is proposing a cantilevered balcony type deck coming off along that 4th floor level of the front portion of the building. It will then include a spiral staircase that will access the upper portion of that roof deck, which will be on top of the new dormer addition that is proposed that will provide that access area. It will involve the removal of 2 frieze windows along the upper level, just below the roof line of this building. And then, so the roof deck, it is a bit more involved than we typically see on roof decks, and that is primarily because of the floor levels not lining up. The spiral staircase has been pushed to the center south side of that building, and the front portion of the building provides a setback from the side for that roof deck. So when viewed from the Broadway side, this roof deck will not be visible from Broadway. On the side decks, having been moved from the rear of the building to the side, they are also pushed in slightly from the edge of that front portion of the building, reducing that visibility from Broadway as well. So the decks will have visibility from the rear when viewed from Spring Street. However, that is primarily due to the fact that there are surface parking pads located along the Spring Street frontage that allow those views into the rear of the buildings fronting Broadway. So staff feels that the intent of the guidelines is met by pushing all of this new construction to the rear of the building without visibility from Broadway. It will have minor views from Spring Street. That is only when viewed from half a block away through the parking pads. So overall, staff does feel that this is appropriate. Being not visible from Broadway, the roof deck does not extend above the roof ridge of the front portion of the building. And the side decks also are relatively small in size and will not be highly visible from Broadway. So with all of that said, staff does recommend the Historic Conservation Board take the following actions based on plans by Michael A. Uhlenhake dated 5/19/2025. Approve a certificate of appropriateness at 1326 Broadway with the conditions that the building permits must be issued within 2 years of the decision date or the COA shall expire, and that the wood elements of the decks shall be painted or stained a dark color after installation.
Thank you. It does look like we have the owner and applicants or owner and architect signed up. If either or both of you would like to add anything, please come forward at this time.
Feel it was well covered. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any questions by the board for the applicant or staff?
I was curious, Mr. Owen, what conversations did you have about the sliding doors in your pre-meetings?
That was not something that we talked much about. There are two smaller windows that were located where those sliding doors are, and because the new doors are within that inset portion where the rear wing is pushed back with a larger setback, they'll not be visible from Broadway. So staff was comfortable with that installation.
They are historic though.
Sorry,
They're
what was it?
historic.
I'm sorry?
The windows that are being replaced are
Yes.
historic. Thank you.
I have a question. I'm wondering, the distance between the neighboring house and the house building we're talking about, where the balconies are coming up. I'd like to know what the distance between those two houses are and how far out those balconies are gonna come.
Okay. So I can pull up the site plan here. So you can see this is the subject property here at 1326, and those balconies will be inset within this little setback area.
Within that notch of
In the notch, yes.
I don't know if that's the text.
So there are several feet until the property line, and then 1328 also has a several foot setback at that distance. So I'm not sure what the actual dimension is.
Oh, that's okay.
That, the distance between them, but it will be, fairly spacious there. The deck itself is 5 feet wide. So it will still have a significant setback from the property line as well as the neighboring building.
Thank you.
Doug, we had any discussions in the guidelines, development of the guidelines? Right now, where it's viewed from the street or the primary facade. So we all have kind of been ignoring the rear of these buildings for like 5 years. I'm just curious, have we ever brought that up where it just is viewable from a primary street instead of the facade's primary street?
Not on the rehab and alteration guidelines. The infill guidelines have some more language about roof decks when viewed from, I think it's within 40 feet from other directions on the surrounding streets. So typically, we will take a harder look at roof decks if a building has a double frontage, so if it has street frontage on both sides. But when it's in the middle of a block with other buildings behind it, then we typically are only concerned with the primary street.
Thank you.
Is there any additional questions? We do have a couple of folks signed up for public comment. Okay, I will call people up for public comment. I know you both submitted extensive letters. We do have a 2-minute time frame. I know you have a lot to say. Please try to keep it as brief as possible. Myra Greenberg, we'll go with you first. Please come up, identify yourself, and please tell us what you'd like to add.
Thank you. This is for Doug. I'm submitting this for the record. Hello everyone, and thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Myra Greenberg. I live next door to this building. I live at 1324 Broadway. And I would like to address possibly some of your questions, sir, about just from the primary facade. This is a 2-pager from National Park Service, Secretary of Interior Standards for rooftop additions, and it was published in 1997. And I won't read the whole thing, but in the top it says always, always, that additions shall not destroy historic materials that characterize the property. Number 2, and that's your question. Where is it appropriate to evaluate the impact of a rooftop addition? Where is it appropriate to evaluate the impact of a rooftop addition? A rooftop addition's impact is properly evaluated from any public right-of-way, such as a street, a public park, sidewalk, and so on, from the front, the sides, and the rear. I personally think that we should not be altering buildings to destroy character-defining historic features of a building, nor in putting a large rooftop addition that destroys the roof line, destroys buildings, windows, and so forth, and it creates this enormous element in the back that we have to look at all the time. And also, we should never, ever be altering buildings that are to be made less safe regarding means of egress and fire protection. I believe that this element, this rooftop deck, is way too large, it's incompatible. It completely destroys the back end of the building, its significance completely. I also think on the side decks, why in the world do you have a door, which we don't know what the materials are, what that's made of, and then above it, a sliding glass door? Sliding glass doors are not featured, or we're tearing out original historic features for something like a sliding glass door and shed dormers on the back of a building. So I think the decks really need to be more architecturally composed and inform everybody what this is about. And I'm really opposed to sliding glass doors. I'm also very opposed to this rooftop deck addition. It will be seen not only from Spring Street, from parking pads. We're in a slope. It will be seen from Liberty Street, from the streets that are above grade from Spring Street. It will be seen from our carriage house, 1325 Spring Street. It's listed as an accessory building on their drawings. It's not. A family lives there with a 2-year-old and a baby coming next month. They will all be subject to what goes on those rooftop decks. And I think when we can see it from our backyard, Absolutely we can. And they can see it from their second floor where they live. So can the people who live behind them, and other places along Spring Street, and even upon Pendleton. So I find this kind of weird that it's just from Broadway. It's not. Guidelines have to adhere to the standards, the federal standards. If it's a federal tax credit building, it has to absolutely adhere to these standards. And the SHPO will make sure of that. It will be dependent upon local people to help make those decisions. So I don't think that there should be any gap between whether it's a tax credit project or not. The guidelines have to adhere to the standards. And I think that it's incumbent upon all of us to not alter buildings to the point where you're disfiguring them and then also creating a safety hazard, a distinct safety hazard for us as well. So I hope that you will deny this. I really do. And thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Ken Jones?
Madam Chair, before I begin, could I request a few extra seconds to give my statement?
We gave Myra a few extra minutes. Try to keep it brief, but we'll give you a little latitude.
Thank you. Madam Chair, members of the board, staff, good afternoon. My name is Ken Jones, and I own and live at 1324 Broadway. I want to voice my objection to the proposal for the 1326 Broadway. There are several reasons for my objections. The proposal does not meet the intent of the guidelines. The design of the flat top dormer with the sliding doors with a deck on top connected by a spiral stair creates an architectural element that is totally foreign to the vocabulary that exists within the Over the Rhine Historic District. The rooftop addition does not support nor enhance this historic building, the surrounding buildings, or the historic district. The proportions of the rooftop addition overpowers the top of this roof. The historic guidelines speak to the visibility of additions, not only from the front facade, but from abutting streets, neighboring buildings, hillsides, and aerial views. The proposed addition will be highly visible from numerous locations. Spring Street that's been mentioned has several view areas. Not to mention all the houses on Spring Street and the pedestrian way that goes through Spring Street. Liberty Street, the Mount Auburn hillside, the Feckheimer building, now known as the Pendleton Arts Center, which is visited by thousands of people each year. There are numerous building code issues which will affect this design. Even though Urban Conservator says you're not supposed to think about that, they do affect what this will be. 1326 is a 4-story, 4-unit, multifamily, non-sprinklered building. If this were to be built today, it would be required to have a full sprinkler system. The proposed upper deck is like adding a 5th floor level connected by a spiral stair for exiting. The building code does not allow a spiral stair to be used as the required means of egress for a deck of this size. The code requires 2 means of egress. If this building is to be used as a short-term rental, it will mean that this will be a change of use and a change of occupancy. A full sprinkler system would be required by code. This proposal fails on multiple counts. It does not meet the intent of the historic guidelines. It places individuals, collective occupants, and neighborhood residents in serious danger. It creates a loss of privacy and safety for everyone. Thank you for your time.
Is that everyone who wished to speak on this issue?
We can speak. Okay, yeah.
Okay, please come forward and identify yourself.
My name is Mike Uhlenhake. I'm the architect working with my client Alden. We had submitted an earlier proposal and we've scaled back considerably on this one, as was explained. And
I may have passed these out real quick, just with some pictures of the area. Is that okay?
Let me take a look at them first and assuming,
Yeah, absolutely. It's pictures of, I mean, just the renderings that we have. In particular, there's two on the back. So this is just, I mean, it's an AI generating, just demonstrating that these are existing fire escapes and just like we're trying to add an aesthetic. So that's basically what the pictures are of. And then this is all the decks. This is Spring Street itself. And I'm just demonstrating here all the existing decks that are already off directly on Spring Street. And then not only that, but many of the neighbors already have existing decks. And what I'm trying to do is allow my residents to have a minimal amount of outdoor space, but still maintaining that we're trying to make something as minimally visibly impactful as possible. So
okay, please make sure Mr. Owen also gets a copy.
absolutely.
Okay. Explain that,
Yeah.
maybe.
If you'd like to explain this, please state your name first.
Yeah, so I'm Alden Ashby. I'm the property owner.
Okay.
And so if you go to, it's the second from the last page and the third from the last page. The second from the last page, I use ChatGPT to just kind of demonstrate what we're trying to do, which is we're trying to replicate the look and the aesthetic of the existing fire escapes that are in the area. It blends in nicely with the building. What wood there will be, we will be painting black, and the metal will be gunmetal black, exactly the same as the existing fire escapes. The other picture that I think is really important is those are existing decks that are already either directly on Spring Street or viewable from my property of existing decks that are already in the area. So as far as what we're trying to do, as you can see, there are decks that actually surpass the size of decks that we are making that we would like to put on. But then not only that, as far as the aesthetic, I would hope that our decks, from what you can see in the pictures, would actually look a little less intrusive as far as into the neighborhood. And for us, I just think it's really important that we allow a minimal amount of outdoor space. So I'm hoping with those, you can see that what we are trying to do will be as least impactful. And then the other thing that I think is important to just point out, as far as the uppermost deck, as far as its visibility, if you go through some of the slides I saw, I'm sorry, what's your name, Miss?
Emily?
Emily, Emily has photos from Spring Street of my property, and you cannot, if you're looking up at it, the uppermost deck, that one would just be very difficult to view from it. So right there in the corner, if you go further back onto Spring Street, you'll probably be able to see the very, very top part, but as far as what is actually visible, I mean, you will probably be able to see corners of it and aspects of it, but true impact and visibility, I think, is relatively minimal. I think I have another photo in there from Spring Street. I'm not clear where though. And then the only other thing that I wanted to address is if we could go to the one photo of the rooftop. I actually believe it is only one of the small, not that one. Here's the rooftop. There. So those are the windows. I just wanted to make sure that you guys could see the actual windows themselves that they're talking about. I honestly don't know if they are historic. They may be, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they're not. So, but I just figured if you guys wanted to see, and the roof, I know that the roof has, the previous owners had to do a lot of repair to the roof. So I don't even know what part of the roof is actually historic at this point, but I think important to point out.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us before I ask if the board has any questions?
Mike, is there anything you'd like to add?
No.
No? Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Are there any questions from the board for the applicants?
The side there, this picture that we're looking at here, where those two decks are and the one sliding glass door and then the door underneath, you will be removing historic doors or windows from that. in order
May I
to
look to see what picture? in that
Addition.
picture I'm addressing the right one. This one, or,
This here.
so this is actually already an existing door. I can show.
Where?
I'm happy to send that in an email, but this door is actually existing because it's out to the fire escape. I don't know why the AI threw this over it, but there's an existing white metal door there that is not historic.
The two windows up here though,
But yeah, right.
would
Um,
be replaced with a sliding door.
This will just be a single door.
But you're replacing a historic window.
Yes, you are correct. It could be historic, could not be. I know the ones in the front are absolutely, and the ones on this
Say
section
that was an
here,
historic window.
these are historic. I know for a fact that these are, when I had a window guy come out and take a look at them, because I asked him, what we need to do, because some of these windows are cracked, and then the ones on the front are, I know that without a doubt, those ones are historic. These ones, he said that it didn't have the ripple glass, so I don't know that you can't speak.
Would you mind making that a single opening instead of a sliding door?
We can absolutely do that.
Just confirm that all the balconies and decks are metal, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
No wood at all?
How confident are you that you're not gonna have a 30-page code review from the building department? The architect.
Can you repeat that again?
How confident are you that you're complying with all the building codes?
We're popping up the roof.
I'm sorry?
We're popping up the roof and the rear section. It's already an occupiable space.
In general, do you think you're in compliance with building code? You're not gonna be forced into changes?
I guess we'll find that out.
So you're not confident? Okay, no, you're good. Thank you.
Mr. Owen, on that subject, there were several comments made about things that are not up to code. And one of the more serious charges is that if people are up on that upper deck and there's a fire, that there is code that says you have to have X, Y, and Z. And they are saying that it doesn't do it. So I'm wondering what your thought is on
I don't know the answer to that because I'm not qualified to make that determination. That is something that the building plans examiners will look at when this comes in for building permit. So
that. That will go through another review.
absolutely, it will go through a full review for building code to make sure that egress is compliant, fire separation is compliant, occupancy is compliant. If there are any substantial changes to the design that need to be made, that will force the applicant to come back to the board if any of those changes do substantially alter the design that was approved by the board.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any additional questions? Someone ready to make a motion?
I'd like to move, Madam Chair, we move into executive session.
I would second that.
Okay, I will call the roll on that motion. Mr. Zlasko.
Aye.
Mr. Sullivan.
Aye.
Mr. Sutherland.
Aye.
Mr. Young.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we come back into session.
Second.
Call the roll, Mr. Zalesko.
Aye.
Ms. Dobbins.
Aye.
Mr. Condon.
Aye.
Mr. Young.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Okay, I think we have some feedback that we'd like to share with the applicant. We have some things that we're okay with on the design and some things that we have a few concerns with. So I think that maybe the most helpful thing to do is to express a few of those concerns and then give you an opportunity on if you would like us to take an up-down vote or if you would like us to move for a continuance to allow some more time to refine the design. I think that the two lower decks, the size and the location of those seemed appropriate to us. Though we have some concerns with the loss of the two original windows that are being replaced with a sliding door on the upper of those two lower decks. I think that we also have some concerns on the upper deck. The spiral stair does not, to our knowledge, have much precedent in the surrounding context. So we are concerned about how that will potentially be very visually dominant on that facade of the building. I think the board had some questions on if there was any feasible way to include a more traditional stair. I know the answer to that may or may not, be that it's possible. But I think that in general, we have some concerns about the look of that stair. We also, there was some comments from the board on the sliding door on that upper level as well, and that might be more appropriate as a single door as well. What did I leave out, board?
Thank you. That's it.
I think you got it.
You get 'em all.
With that being said, would you like us to take a vote on the item, or would you like us to consider a continuance instead?
Basically, it's like, I'd have to figure out how to do this.
Space in the area that we have to work with. Do you think that's possible?
I'd have to really dig into it.
And see, okay.
This one doesn't matter.
There may be other ways to minimize a visual impact of a spiral stair. So I think a conventional stair is an option, or some sort of screening for that stair, or just, again, really worried about the visual impact of it.
Yeah.
So I think we're all for creative solutions and some way to get you there. We're concerned about the scale and visual of that stair.
So I would just say we need to work on.
So if we provided a traditional stair, what would we do? And would we have another hearing or?
Yeah, you would come back to the board for an additional hearing.
Okay,
Would it be possible to take a vote on the lower two decks? And as I mentioned earlier, there's on the upper one, which is unit number 4, instead of making that a slider, making that a single door. Would that be something that the board would be willing to vote on, is at least on those two decks? That way the overall project isn't slowed down? Is that something that could be granted?
I will have to defer to staff and the board attorney on if that is a feasible possibility.
Well, for my part, I think if you separate it out, as long as it's clear what exactly is being approved, and if there are any conditions on those approvals, that I could approve permits for just those portions. Whether or not it's possible to separate different parts out of the COA is the first law.
Just one.
I can't hear you very well. Oh, I'm sorry. I said I would have to look into it and advise on it, but I could tailor the decision to just one aspect of this. whatever the board
I
rules
think
on.
the easiest things to separate out would be the lower decks with a condition that the sliding door be, replaced with a more compatible swinging door. I think we could probably get there on that. I think the whole roof thing gets a little complex to try to parse out. Would just that lower two deck approval be helpful at this point?
Yes, it would be.
The board, how does the board feel about that?
So would we make a motion with the condition that they would have to come back to the board for the upper part?
I think so. How are you guys feeling?
I just have to draw up a traditional stair and make sure it fits, you know, so. We tried to place it back in the corner. So it's less impactful.
Doug, any concerns with the proposed approval of the lower level decks and opening?
I think that would be fine, and, I don't think we're married to these sliding doors. So,
Would for light, would the board, single door instead of a double French door? And just eliminating the sliding, if we went with the French door, which is, I feel like more historically accurate, to probably what would have been there. Is that something that the board would approve?
I think that's part of the complexity of the whole upper level thing. I think we kind of need to see everything in coordination. I think for the lower level deck, it's a little straighter, a little more straightforward, that it would be more ideal to only have one of the historic openings
Okay.
modified.
And if I could ask for clarification, is there, if the upper side deck is changed from the sliding glass door that's proposed to a single door? Right now, there are two offset windows in that bay, which the sliding door kind of lined up with those existing openings. I just want to make sure the board is still okay if that's changed to a single window. That would still involve the removal of both of those windows.
I believe that was okay with the board. It was just the configuration of the door that was a concern.
So you're gonna replace one window with door.
Or two French doors. I would prefer two French doors, because I'm concerned if it was just a single door and we put in a glass door, the light, it would reduce the amount of light that was let into the unit. So I would propose two French doors that open instead of the sliding door. If that would feel more historic.
So in that location though, I think what we would like to see ideally is that only one of those historic windows is impacted.
Understood.
Not the roof location. I think we were talking about both and not making a distinction.
I understand now. So if we just eliminate one window, we can replace just the one window with the door and leave the other window where it is.
That would be much preferred by the board if that is feasible.
And we can do that.
Okay, Mr. Young, would you like to try to take a stab at this motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to approve the certificate of appropriateness, 1326 Broadway with the following conditions. That the third floor balcony door be, one window be preserved and be a single door instead of a sliding door. And the other condition being that the applicant needs to return to the Historic Conservation Board with a revision for the upper two decks of the building. That's a little.
Is that clear enough, Doug? Any other conditions you would want us to add?
We just want to confirm with law that it doesn't have to be table in part and approve in part with conditions, if it's okay to approve with conditions. And one of the conditions is that they're, like, if it stays an open case, if they approve it with conditions, we can come back to the board.
So would you like us to take a separate motion to table the upper portion?
Maybe we could just do this the cleanest way possible and
Just table it.
just table it until everything is. Do you also want to know the material of the door that's going to?
I mean, I'm fine with that being approved on staff level. That could be a condition.
We're okay at a staff level of breaking this out into two. I just wasn't sure logistic. If that needed to be a table and a conditional approval, or if it can all be. If it's easier to do it as one conditional approval, and we don't see any issues with that, we can do it like the motion.
Let's try it, and if legal has a problem.
Let's split it into two.
He has a question.
What is your question?
Well, it was just kind of a comment, because we had to update the HVAC systems at the property. And they allowed us to, permit permits on particular units, which is how they broke it apart. And that seemed to be fine, that we were able to get that through. I don't know if this is separate, but they seemed to be fine with that. And that was a way to allow some units to be occupied while the other units are still being worked on. So just throwing that out there. I don't know if this is just under something separate, but they were able to do it that way with the HVAC system.
Would adding unit numbers be helpful or harmful at this point?
I don't think that will have an effect on what we're looking at, or the building permit.
I mean, it's just clean to just table this.
It is, but I mean, I'd like to not stop them for a month if we don't have to. Okay, we're gonna go with this. Is there a second to John's motion?
Second.
I'll call the roll. Mr. Zelasco?
Aye.
Ms. Smith Dobbins?
Aye.
Mr. Sunderman?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, we're kind of splitting the baby. Hopefully that gets you at least some movement, and some comments on some things we'd like to see.
Thank you.
Okay, we do have June 2025 staff approvals.
Do we have to do anything with the rooftop?
Were we gonna do a table on the rooftop? I think we said no, and
You did it as
That
a
was part of it.
condition of approval that the rooftop has to come back.
so we're good. Okay, June 2025 staff approvals.
Move to approve.
No comments or questions from anyone? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mr. Zelasco?
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins?
Aye.
Mr. Sunderman?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Is there any other business before we consider adjournment? Okay, is there a motion?
Let's do adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you, everyone.